If I sound out of breath, it's because we just figured out our deep freeze uh was out, and we just unloaded all the meat from there and moved it to another freezer. So it's like, I don't know. I was glad he went out there to get a Lincoln dry sausage because otherwise we wouldn't have known. Um,
I thought maybe we was going to have an impromptu barbecue.
Thankfully everything was still frozen, but it was a mad dash for sure. Um, What I wanted to talk about this week is buyer attraction and how we build our buyer pipeline. As a brokerage, we have lots of listings. That's great. But without hitting buyers, they're stagnant, right? And yes, we can rely on other agents to bring buyers, but we can up our game on the buyer side a little bit more. And Coach was talking about a video he posted with his high school choir at Marble Falls singing the national anthem at a UT, was it basketball game? Um, so that got almost 10,000 views. And then we have real estate content that's more stagnant. And that's just one small piece of the pie as far as social media for buyer attraction. But Jessica and I are going to have a call later today about creating content that's not stagnant. And a lot of us go to a lot of efforts to post content, and we plan it, and we have the perfect font, we have the perfect picture, and then like Coach mentions, then you get 32 views. So how can we post things that are engaging? And while I have access to quite a few of y'all's pages and we're posting things, we have to post raw organic content like the national anthem video, because we're not just selling homes, we're selling a community. I was visiting with Leanne yesterday about Fredericksburg. Well, so many of us have traveled to Fredericksburg and gone to wineries in Fredericksburg. But what is it like to live in Fredericksburg? And we have a really cool opportunity to highlight our town. A lot of things when you've been in a hometown like I have forever, we sort of take for granted what it's cool. And yesterday, having a call with Leanne and her daughter Sterling about Fredericksburg, and Sterling, her daughter's looking forward to come back to Fredericksburg because now she's realized, now that she's gone to college and realizes that the hometown wasn't so bad. She wrote a really cool blog on what Fredericksburg means to her and growing up there. So anytime we can post like a little snapshot of what our hometown is and what it's like to live there would be really cool. Coach, with y'all in the lake, Highland Lakes area, lots of us also have traveled up there to visit, but we can give them a bird's eye view of what's it like to live in Marble Falls, what's it like to live in the Horseshoe Bay area, not just be a tourist. So something Leanne and I were talking about was, where do the tourists eat on the weekends and where do locals eat? Where do the tourists drive down Main Street? Where do the locals drive to avoid Main Street? Just little different quirky things like that we can share. Same with like Ashley in New Braunfels and Kyle and Matt in New Braunfels. Like, New Braunfels is such a tourist town now, and we have some great agents there. We need to be highlighting what it's like to live in that area, because that's the kind of content that trends, because then we check in at Schlitterbahn or Wurstfest or a winery or check in at the lake. We're going to hit more people, and then that's how we can get buyer traction on the social media side. Um, do y'all have other discussions around that? I don't want to rule the roost on that combo. So we'll be working on that to get more buyer traction. I think I saw Shanna on the call. Shanna too with like New Ulm. I think it'd be cool to show some things to do in the area. I want to say I saw that maybe like Warrenton Round Top is right now, or about to be right now. Getting some cool footage of all the booths and different things going on there would be great. Like, I don't know, where would you even grocery shop in New Ulm? I don't know.
Columbus. Yeah, I
Cool.
think
Oh,
Columbus is probably about yeah, it's not that far. But yeah, no, Round Top I think starts the 22nd, and I'll be going. So that's a great idea. Always take
yeah.
footage, but I never think to relate it. So I'll do that.
Yeah, and one thing on that footage, which I think is neat, is you could have a slow little video pan of the booth, and then keep that as your B-roll, and then overlay footage from your listing. And so we're kind of painting that image of what it's like to live there. Same with like the Marble Falls there, or Fredericksburg, New Braunfels, right? Having that little front snippet about the local. One of my friends here in New Braunfels is with KW. They have a neighborhood that the houses aren't super fantastic, but they have an amazing HOA waterfront park where, yeah, you're gonna live in a 1990 basic home, but you have this amazing waterfront park where you can go every day and be on the water and have your boat on the water. So her videos of this new house are the HOA park. So, and again, yes, we can maybe have the listing on those things, but having that footage is really important. I can probably pull hers up. And then also for buyer attraction, we've got to get out and about and meet people. I was with Ashley and my friend David last night, and he's our caterer buddy, and we help him out sometimes. And he's like, yeah, Lisa helped me with a gig. And within 5 seconds, she made a new friend. But we have to get out and talk to people. If we're not willing to get out and talk to people, we're missing great opportunities. Todd, same thing. Like, I don't think he or I have ever met a stranger because, like, we just have to visit and chit chat. I was going to show you, I think it's this video. Let's share my screen. I just want to show you this video real quick. Not that it's the here all end all, but just to kind of give you an idea. Not that one. Why is that not playing? Well, can y'all see that? I don't know why it won't pull up as I'm sharing it, but she has this really cool drone footage of like Let's Dunlap, where her listing is, and then it rolls into the house, right? So she's selling them on the park, and there's your house. Well, the house itself is not like resounding amazing, but she's leading with the value. Same with when we're highlighting homes in the lake area, right? Not every home, like Coach and Marty have this house I call the mullet house from the front. It's not really cool, but the back is cool. We need to make sure we're selling the highlights of everything that we're listing. So you can see that she did a really good job talking about the HOA part because that's the hook and you're kind of drawn into that. And then she's ending with it too. That's the HOA part. So having that content, especially if you're selling homes in one area over and over again, would be a great investment. I was visiting with Caitlin about the same thing with their listings up near Lake LBJ. You know, have that B-roll of the lake, of the marina, different things like that, and then you can reuse it over and over. So that's just one little area we can focus on for buyer attraction. But something else, when I was in the, I was a director for a chamber of commerce for a long time. Go to your local government meetings. Some of them are really boring, but going to planning and zoning meetings, going to just general city council meetings and investing some time in your community to listen, to become that expert. It's amazing the people who are in that room. Yeah, you're going to have your negative Nancy's that are going to be there that are going to complain, but having your face in front of city councilmen, in front of a lot of developers, go to those meetings, especially if you're in an area that's booming and developing. A lot of developers and land buyers go to those meetings because they're trying to get different plats and engineering things passed and through. So take time and go to those meetings. Have any of y'all done that before and gone to your local municipal meetings or county commissioner meetings?
I like to go. I have a crush on the city manager here.
Oh gosh. I hear he's married to an awesome lady, so be careful.
I heard that too.
Yeah, I've been to a few actually trying to get those things passed through, and it's a lot like watching paint dry. But it's meant you learn the dynamics of the city. The personalities come into play to a great degree. We worked a development deal in Shirts, and it took 5 years from tip to tail, and it was due to one obstinate city planner that we finally figured out how to work around to get the deal
Was
done.
it Ruben?
Yeah.
Ruben Herrera or
No, I'm not sure he's there anymore. I think they finally chased him off after.
Good.
Yeah.
That's yeah. Well, and just having your name in front of those people to show that you care and you're not just some sort of fly by night person that's zooming in and zooming out. People pay attention to that kind of thing. When I was going to a lot of the local meetings, it was amazing what you learned just by being there. And just like with our national political climate, what actually happens in those meetings and what gets spread on social media, when you're there and you can hear exactly what they're talking about, it's really good to be that point person on that. I
I
know.
think I was going
Mhm.
to say, sorry to interrupt you. I think it's good too, because when there is a problem, they are more likely to reach out to you if they, like when we went through the short-term rental ordinance, I think they were really disappointed in the fact that a lot of realtors were complaining, but none of them were showing up. But when it was time to reach out and ask us for feedback, they reached out to those of us that were at the meeting. And I thought that was, that does make an impression that they see you there, that it matters. And
Mhm.
they'll notice that you're there for sure.
Yeah, and being engaged in the community is super important. I know Krista's worked with the county, I think, on the buy side, and then Tiffany has a buyer right now she's working with on a government level too. So just being super involved is important. Chamber of Commerce meetings. Here in my area, we have something called the Northeast Partnership, where Selma, Schertz, Garden Ridge, Cibolo, New Braunfels, Seguin, all their mayors get together once a month. And that's a great luncheon to go to. Anytime you have decision makers in a room, whether it's Rotary, Kiwanis, Lions Club, those types of things are also great to get involved with. I'm kind of weird about commitments in those things because those clubs a lot of times suck you in and now you're giving them 10 hours a week and not giving your business that same 10 hours a week. So I love to be guests to those kinds of things. So if you have a friend that's a Rotarian or in the Lions Club, just say, hey, can I go with you to a luncheon? They encourage guests. So pop in a couple times a year to those different clubs, but then don't necessarily commit unless you really want to. But you can get voluntold to death in those organizations when they see fresh meat join those kinds of organizations, and now they've sucked a lot of your time. Where have y'all gone for local community businesses like that or organizations like that where you felt like you've got a good return on your time and investment?
I recently have gotten involved with the Texas Tech alumni. That's the common people. I think people like to be around people they like, and the Texas Tech thing has been a big deal for me.
Mm-hmm. So I was just sharing with Leanne yesterday, my sister has a freshman at Texas Tech. Shannon, this might be something for you. It was kind of blew my mind a little bit because it made me really scratch my head, but she got a letter yesterday and it's the nutshell was, we see that you have a freshman at Texas Tech. As a local real estate professional, if you're looking to invest in real estate for your student to live, we're here to help and guide you. So somehow they have a list of every Texas Tech freshman and they're sending letters to their parents to buy a home while they're in college. I don't know how you get a list like that. But I was like, kudos. And the letter I told Leanne, I sent her the letter. It's like the letter looks like it was written on Word Perfect. And I don't think it was very well done, but it caught my sister's eye that she saw it in the mail and opened it. So, and for you young folks, Word Perfect was what happened before like Google Docs and Microsoft Word, but on a dot matrix printer. um, so yeah, any of your alumni groups, I know here in San Antonio area, we have a Aggie club that a lot of people go to. They meet every month. I mean, every Monday. Any kind of organization that you're involved with, like I've been going to sewing club once a month, which I like things that are once a month because again, it's just like a couple hour commitment a month. But and then I do bowling league, which is also like I feel like I'm 87 years old going to. Those are my two activities that I do, but it's stuff that I enjoy. And I've had people ask me for business at both of those things, or just ask about real estate because I see what we're doing. And what I love about getting out and about is people see you on social media and they see posts. They don't always engage your comment. But then when you're out in the community, you're actively engaging with those people that see you. And now you have a conversation. It's like online dating and then going on a date, right? You have to have the two to make it work. Not necessarily dating, but for real estate. Um, and then also for buyer stuff, we can also do Facebook ads. We can do having your Google presence. You could do postcards or letters to non-owner occupied. So you could pull a list through Fetch of people in certain neighborhoods. Now this would work more on the residential side than the land and ranch side, but you can pull non-owner occupied. So although you won't know their name, you could send it to potential renters, and you would just need to comb through your list to make sure that they don't just have like a PO box or something like that for their mailing address. And it's pretty easy to go through those. So if you're trying to increase buyers that way through sort of old school marketing, we could work on that too. But the content is what I really want to talk about a lot. I've been talking to Caitlin. We're going to be doing a content collab day, and we're also going to be working on YouTube videos. And if that's something that you'd like to do, if you want to shoot me a text, I'd love everybody to get a basic video. Give big shout out to Mackenzie Harvey the other day for her intro video. And I was complimenting her at the office about it. And she's like, yeah, do you know why I did that? And I said, no, I have no idea. Well, one of her friends from Beeville, she was talking to about buying a home, and then she followed up with them and they're like, oh, we already bought because, you know, you're in Bernie and we're down here and we don't want to bug you. And so instead of her just, you know, living in the negative moment, she decided to turn that around and take action and make that video that lots of us saw. And having that video like pinned to your business page is a great way. So if someone does happen to look you up, immediately they can see that video. That's also something she could text out or embed in an email blast. So once you have that video content, there's lots of ways we can repurpose it. You can post it, embed it in a blog. You can put it to your YouTube shorts. You can post it to LinkedIn, right? So once you have that made, you can reuse it and you can also repost it. Just like a lot of our blogs that we have, you can repost those too. Like we have one I did last year on property tax protest. All the information stayed the same. Since then, nothing's really changed. The deadlines from the counties I've called are all the same. So don't feel like just because you posted it last year, you can't repost it this year. No one's probably going to remember that you posted it last year, or it's going to hit a new audience. Where are y'all finding most of your buyers are coming from?
I wish I had buyers.
Yeah, we're working on that. We're definitely working on that. I think yesterday after the call we had with you, me and Sterling, I think some of the things that you're wanting to do and just being that consistent and having a plan on how you want to attract buyers and put yourself out in the market is the best first thing to do, right? Because when we just
Well, it's definitely proof that if you get distracted and you're not constantly filling your pipeline, you'll have that dry spell. I've been a little distracted and with my mom and not doing the work. I've got a lot of listings, but you know, you got to stay focused in all areas and just keep. And I think that's why it's good to have like a marketing plan throughout the year, or even, you know, 6 months or something, because I've hit that dry spell. And so just proof that you got to be a little more forward thinking.
Yeah, and I know we talked briefly yesterday about open houses, and I know Coach and Marty, y'all had open houses this past weekend, and y'all sort of tag teamed. Y'all each were at one of your listings, and you did it back to back on Saturday and Sunday. Can y'all share how that went for you guys?
I think that there wasn't like this overwhelming turnout. Our experience in Austin when we did the open house there was greater, just because of volume of people, I'm sure. But this past weekend in Kingsland, we each had people to come by. I think because of the price point, Marty got more interest in the County Road 132A, you know, place. And we had a couple people that seemed to express, you know, considerable interest.
Mm-hmm.
Now, one thing we did discover this morning, we checked our bold trail. We're trying to be better about that too. And one of them had unsubscribed, but the fact is that he's got his own realtor. And so we're trying to figure out or manage how we don't want to be too intrusive with our bold trail and automatic campaigns when they've got their own realtor.
Yeah, and don't take unsubscribes personally. It's hard to not feel a little rejection in real estate because it is an emotional thing when someone doesn't pick you to list their home or that type of thing. But I unsubscribe from things all the time and I don't have negative feelings about it. To me, emails are very non-intrusive. And so hitting that unsubscribe button is just like, hey, I'm trying to keep my inbox clean, but it's not like it's not a bad thing. It's okay. And it's also very normal. So were y'all using the open house app this weekend through Bold Trail?
We did, as a matter of fact. And
How did that work?
pretty good. I mean, it seemed to be pretty user friendly. I think we did that right. And certainly it showed up in our Bold Trail as far as being, new leads.
Awesome.
There was one family that attended both. And anyway, so when she said that she had been over at the other place, I didn't have her to sign up necessarily. And, but nonetheless, I think that, we had some activity, and so we were pleased with that. And
That's
it's good to be
awesome.
able to report back to your sellers, rather, that, that there is some interest, and,
Definitely.
and
Definitely. And, open houses, especially in y'all's area, I would say don't even necessarily have to be on the weekends because people are visiting there during the week. And I would say you have a large percentage of people that work from home or run their own business. And so don't feel like you have to give up a whole weekend to do open houses. And if I were in real estate, I would be doing it one open house a month at minimum. And it's not necessary to find a buyer for that house. It's to find buyers, period. And, Lynn, I worked quite a few open houses with each of y'all. And Lynn and I did one in Fredericksburg at Orchard the other day. And we didn't have people for that house, but we met the two neighbors across the street and they want to sell their house and they have a house in Austin to sell. Is that gonna manifest into 2 deals? Maybe, but she wouldn't have met those people if she hadn't been there that day. So if we're not swinging the bat, we're not gonna hit anything as far as that goes. So if you're looking to add to your buyer pipeline, do an open house. We have a ton of in-house listings. When you do in-house listings through the brokerage, there's less paperwork, it's less cumbersome on that side, but you can also reach out to other listings in your area. You could go sit at a builder model, like where we went the other day in Marble Falls at JLP Builders. You can go hang out there and just go visit with the sales rep. There's lots of opportunities to do open houses. You can even do a ranch open house. Christopher had done a ranch open house. It was a log cabin on 16 acres. And it was a great way just to get his name out there. It shows potential sellers that you're willing to work, because so many sellers still think that open houses sell homes. And that's okay if it checks the box for them and it makes them happy. And then it helps you get more buyers and put your name in front of more people to run an ad here and there on open houses. It's just a great way to stand out because so many people have gotten away from them that it makes you stand out a little bit. Especially done right. I know Caitlin and Krista are planning a big one for, I think, this coming weekend up in Kingsland, and they have multiple houses. Again, it makes a seller happy that you're highlighting their home. And then you can give them some results from that too. And then with how it works with the MLS and Zillow integrations, you don't have to do a lot of advertising necessarily because people find them on realtor.com and Zillow because when they're searching for open houses. Did y'all have anybody, did you happen to ask how they heard about the open house?
Mine was driving by.
A couple were drive-bys,
Oh, nice.
and what have you. So, and they stopped, at that moment. In fact,
That's awesome. I know Shannon did an open house this weekend for one of Kristen's listings. And same thing, she had a few tire kickers and it was a big community-wide open house, but she had one buyer come through that she feels like is qualified and was interested in the home. So again, if you don't have stuff in your pipeline, what's the worst that can happen for an open house? They're relatively inexpensive. You don't really have to advertise. You can just create an event on Facebook, put it in, the MLS that you're hosting it, get a sign from the office, pick up a tray of cookies and some bottled waters, and you're good to go. So definitely put that on each of y'all's list to do an open house once a month, and find a house that reflects the kind of business you want to get. Buyer attraction is real. So if you want to focus on lakefront, like Coach and Marty, host open houses where there's waterfront. If you want to be the luxury agent, then host an open house at a luxury home. Not saying that you can't do other things too, but we want buyers for our ideal client. And so hosting an open house at the home that fits that is a really good idea. Have you all had other wins from buyer generating events that y'all wanted to share with the group?
I think in the past, one of the most helpful things for me was my sphere already, people that I'd already sold to. I think that's partly why I've been a little slow too, is that I forget to ask my past clients to, do you know anyone looking to move? Fredericksburg is generally buyers moving in, so I have to think a little bit more globally. So I don't know if, these other markets are able to track where their buyers are coming from, but even if it's the next town over, I think you reach out to other agents and see, like, let me be a referral, let me work with you. I've done some of that, like in San Angelo and Lubbock, because I know agents from those towns, and a lot of those people are coming over here, but just trying to get more relationship related to, that way if somebody does, because I know, like, I have people that move to Marble Falls a lot, or people reach out to me and that's not my market. So I try to make sure I have good relationships. And thankfully now we have, a lot of people like Coach and Marty and Krista and Caitlin selling over there. But if I didn't have those four, you have to like think, okay, who are my people? So then if you turn that around, is there an opportunity to work with other agents? Or like I said, ask your buyers for your past clients if they know someone wanting to come over and live in your area.
Yeah, that's a good reminder, Leanne. I think we pass on too many opportunities to ask for business, and it's not that hard to do. And most people who you have a relationship with want to see you succeed. So it's just a good habit to get into. So
Definitely. I had a mentor years ago when I first got into sales, and for some reason we have this stigma in our head that if we ask for business, we're being like a used car salesman. But she taught me this line years ago, and I just try to use it usually like at the close of a conversation. But you obviously know your sphere, and you know if they're probably like, I'm probably never going to move, but I know people that are going to move. And so she just said, say, like you, I'm always looking to grow my business. So if you know somebody that's looking to buy or sell, I'd love that opportunity, right? It doesn't have to be like icky feeling where somebody walks away and thinks they just bought, 12 cases of Tupperware, but everybody's usually in the same boat. And if they're in business for themselves, we want to send them referrals and we want them to send us referrals. But if we don't ask and we assume, what happens there. And what's the worst that can happen if you ask for business? And also being engaged in people. And a lot of that you can see on social media. If somebody's getting divorced, if somebody's having a baby, if somebody's getting married, if people are kind of in the real estate investment game and they have short-term rentals. Make sure you're asking for their business because they're actively engaged. Those life events is when people usually also buy and sell real estate. The downsizers, the people that are maybe going into a retirement community, right? That's one aspect that social media is really good because they give us cues that those types of things might be happening. If any of you guys want to work on letters, newsletters, postcards, Facebook ads, any of that kind of thing, let's have a one-on-one call to get your marketing plan going. Definitely encourage y'all. I know some of y'all probably rolling your eyes on the open house thing, but for a few hours a week or a month, I think it's a great way to put yourself out there and just swing the bat a little bit and see if you can't get a home run with an open house or two for 12 a year. And there's also fun ways on open houses where you can like collab with other people, like get your friend that's an artist to paint a painting, or somebody that plays the guitar, or right. There's like so many different things you could do to draw extra people in as well. I know Caitlin and Krista are working on having like a boat person come and have a boat at their Lake LBJ listing and just make it more fun and engaging, like an event, not just a traditional open house. So yeah, if y'all have questions or want to collab on anything like that, just reach out and let's set up a one-on-one call, and we'll get rocking and rolling on your marketing plan to grow your buyers.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Y'all have a
Thank
great
you,
day.
Lisa. Thanks.
You too. Bye.
Thanks, Lisa.